Live. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and welcome to a pretty interesting show tonight. Now, look, on Monday night we were talking a lot about Joshua Zirkzee. That does seem to have really started to heat up and really started to boil over in terms of an actual tangible transfer that Manchester United are looking to do in this summer transfer window. Now, look, I'm not going to say this is going to be an easy deal to do. Zirkzee is on international duty with the Netherlands, who are going to finish at least second place in their group alongside France. They've got that first win. They'll probably end up going into the next round, and that's just going to add time onto this deal. But it does look like United are making a move for Zirkzee, and I want to know what you guys are thinking about the Dutch striker potentially coming to United. He's not what I would say the typical striker that we've went for over the last 10 years or so. Zirkzee, he's more of a facilitating striker, maybe not the most prolific of players, but he makes those around him better, and it might get more goal contributions out of a Marcus Rashford, a Garnacho, potentially Amad Diallo, or something like that. You could probably put him up in the front too, alongside Rasmus Højlund as well, but different options, different dynamics. I like the player. I know there's a lot of people concerned with some of his qualities, and some of what he does maybe isn't exactly what we need, but I think it's good to have different options and different dynamics on a personal level. But you are running the risk of a player there who potentially might get into the same kind of areas as Bruno Fernandes. He does like to drop deeper from time, so you might miss that box presence if you do play Joshua Zirkzee as the sole striker, unless you're going to have some players making moves into the box, either your wide players or your number 8s. That's kind of what he has at Bologna at the moment. Go back and watch a lot of clips. You'll notice the relationship between him and Lewis Ferguson is pretty strong in terms of doing that. And yeah, he could be an interesting player to watch out for. In other news, Bruno Fernandes could be set to sign a new deal at Manchester United. Now look, I know what Jarrad sent down below there, and yeah, it was reported a few weeks ago that there would be no new deal this year for Bruno Fernandes, but new reports coming out today. It started off with the Daily Mail, started off as well with Manchester Evening News, both of whom saying that should Bruno Fernandes still be at Manchester United after the summer, which if Bruno gets sold, I'd be absolutely stunned. There's not really much to suggest that this would happen, that his agent would approach the club and that a new deal would be relatively easy to agree, relatively easy to do, and yeah, I can see that happening, to be fair. I can definitely see that potentially happening down there. Hello to Bath Time. Good to see you, buddy. I will be on the agenda tonight as well. Make sure to tune in for that, guys. Bart is down there. It's actually quite similar to Kane in a lot of the ways. He, of course, doesn't have the same skills with the ball or scoring record, but he is mobile, and will bring the likes of Rashford into play. It's one of those, it's you're not signing a prolific striker, you're signing a player who might get more out of the players you've already got there, and some of the best seasons for Rashford, some of the best seasons for United attacks have been with facilitating strikers, with Martial performing that role, but I don't know. It'll be an interesting one anyway with Zirkzee. Some concerns with him. I don't think he's particularly strong in the air. I know he's quick. I know his touch is good, and he's a good manipulator of space. He will drag oppositions around, and that's definitely something to watch out for. I will get talking on the Todibo story as well, Carpi, in just a moment as well. Bart says, United fans, mark the calendars. 31st will be a big day when Slot endears himself to the Kop as they lay down a marker for the season versus United. We'll find out. We'll find out. Got a long way to go between now and then. But yeah, as Carpi was saying, talk of Todibo can't come because of rules. Ineos don't own United and Leipzig and Salzburg, Donetsk, Sesko in the same competition. That is correct, but UEFA have changed the rules. Now, the way it works is the example a lot of people are talking about at the moment online is Savio. Savio has gone from a City Football Group club to Manchester City, but I think what's key is he is technically a player of FC Troyes. So although he was at Girona last season, although he hasn't kicked a ball for Troyes, he is actually a Troyes player. So City can buy them because Troyes are not in the same competition. So what United would need to do, if they wanted to sign Todibo, what they could do is have the Swiss league club that Ineos own buy Todibo and then loan him to Manchester United. By UEFA logic, that is perfectly fine and perfectly acceptable. It is ridiculous. It really is. Bath time, any news on Chalobah? Yeah, I think there was something about Chalobah potentially being an option. They were talking £25 million, and for that kind of price, I think that's a pretty good deal. Like, I do think that's a good deal. I think we're going to go big on trying to sign Jarrad Branthwaite in this window. So I can absolutely see a world where we go for a less expensive but maybe underrated, underappreciated type centre back, and but perhaps Chalobah could be that guy. Many players could fit in that there sort of role as well, but I would take him, to be honest. I think he's really, really good. Is Trevor Chalobah good in the ball as well? Anyways, look, I'll get talking on some of the big stories of the day. I guess we'll move on to everything that's come out about Joshua Zirkzee in the last 24 hours. This does seem to be the deal that is being talked about the most. Even Simon Stone of BBC, who is always negative about our chances of signing any player, has at least confirmed that United are interested in signing Joshua Zirkzee, and they're considering whether to make a bid. Now, there has been communication with the player's advisor, that is Kia Jorbekane. Now, for anyone unaware of Kia Jorbekane, or however we pronounce this guy's name, he is the agent, or was the agent, of Carlos Tevez, and caused a lot of problems for Manchester United dealing with him last time. I had asked, is this the kind of person you want to get into bed with and do these kind of deals? Probably not. But is this the world of football that we now inhabit and live in? Yeah. So, in the same way that dealing with Mino Raiola was a necessity for a lot of clubs, in the same way that dealing with Jorge Mendes is a necessity for a lot of clubs, maybe this is just something we have to do. Maybe we just have to pinch our nose and go in there and try to get a deal done. But there is concerns about it, and one of the big ones is that the agent is looking 15 million to make the move happen. So a move that could cost 35 million according to the buyout clause. All of a sudden, you're looking, with agent fees, that price rising up to £50 million as a minimum. So we'll find out on that there one. Carpi is saying Ineos could pay Todibo out of his contract. Yeah, they could, but they'd probably end up in some kind of arbitration court. I don't know, though. I really don't. But it's definitely an interesting one for sure. Anyway, look, guys, in terms of the Zirkzee question, 62% of you guys so far are saying, yeah, you would take Zirkzee in the summer. I'm a big fan of him. Like, I was a fan of him last year. I think that as a player, I really like him. I wonder and I question how that's going to translate into clicking into United's team, into clicking into what United need. I do think that we do need more chance creation. I do think we need to have more options as well, like in terms of how we can attack teams, different dynamics, different possibilities that we can play. And having two strikers and playing a front two, it shouldn't be discounted. That's a perfectly valid way to try to do this. But I don't know. I don't think Zirkzee is going to give us the kind of box presence that maybe we're lacking with Højlund. I don't know if he's necessarily going to give us a player who's going to score a lot of headers. I do think he has his own qualities. Some of those qualities, of course, very noticeable. His ability to drag an opposition backline about, his ability to make runs in behind. He's quick. He's good dropping on the ball. He's got good on-the-ball movement. And he can certainly link up play as well. Bathheim said he's going to be a table merchant for Rashford. I mean, maybe he gets more out of Rashford. Is that a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, it's one of those. It's like Rashford, not last season, but 2 seasons ago now, came out with a 30-goal season. Does getting him back up, scoring lots of goals, benefit as much as potentially bringing in another kind of backup striker to Højlund? Probably not. Like, I think the best way to do this maybe is to go for a Zirkzee type player. But we're going to find out. It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks, and I would expect these deals to get done pretty soon. Look, from everything that we've read online, everything we see online, a lot of this summer does seem to be well in the works already. It's very quiet on the outside, but inside a lot of work is being done, and I think that's good. I've been saying for a long time that the leaks, they don't help us, that everything getting aired out in public doesn't help us, and not being able to keep things under wraps just doesn't help our club. So I'm glad we kept kind of guessing here, like we're sitting here going like, will we, won't we, are we going to do this, are we going to do that, who's going to come in? Last summer we could have told our signings, the first 3 signings from months beforehand, that it was always going to be Højlund, it was always going to be Onana, it was always going to be Mount, and to now be in a situation where we're not sure what the club's doing behind the scenes can only be a good thing, in my opinion. Anyway, guys, get voting on today's poll. Drop a like if you can on the video. Carpi is down there. Talk of us approaching a CDM. You think it could be Neves? Yeah, there was something about Fabrizio Romano talking about United approaching a midfielder and not telling us who the midfielder was. That doesn't really smack of a big story to me. We know we need midfielders. I think on a personal level, as much as I like João Neves, I don't know if I can really justify spending £100 million or €100 million, whatever it's going to be, to get him out of Benfica at the age of 19 when we need so many players in different positions every bit as badly. I can't justify spending that much of our budget on one player and only getting one centre back. I really can't say that that's a good idea. Look, I'm a big fan of Neves, but I think going for Amadou Onana might be a better shout in terms of what he can give us. I think Youssoufa Fofana could be another good option as well. And with him, we've got a player that's going to leave Monaco probably for around 25 million, and he's a good player, and he could be the kind of budget option that we might want to bring in this window. But certainly a lot of interesting stories coming out at the moment. Sky Sports kind of did a little bit of a reveal, I guess. We'll call it a little bit of an info drop. If Sancho leaves Manchester United, the club are looking at targets for that position. United are discussing internally whether to make their interest in Michael Olise more formal. Xavi Simons is also a player to look out for who United are interested in. So interested in Simons, interested in Olise. I can't say I'm surprised. Two very, very, very good players there. And I guess, I wouldn't complain too much either way. There's potential for Simons to come in on a loan to buy from PSG. That helps your FFP. We do have a story in the last couple of minutes coming in from, who's that, Santi Aona. I mean, I've always said this guy's a dubious source, but I'll read it out anyway for you guys. United not ready to trigger Elise's 16 million release clause. United are exploring different possibilities to make this happen. Chelsea are ready to trigger the release clause, and they are the front runners and are pushing hard. Key days ahead. So that's the latest on the Olise story. I guess one that I do want to talk about, and it is significant, and it is really coming out in the last couple of minutes and hours. I think the story's come out at 6:15, so about an hour ago at this point. Lazio, Juventus and Napoli all interested in signing Mason Greenwood. Clubs in Germany, Spain and Portugal are also watching the situation. Getafe would be interested in Greenwood returning to them on a season-long loan, but United's preference is to sell the player. So Greenwood potentially could be one that we look to move on. There was talk about £30 million deals getting talked about with Lazio and Juventus. These are also possibilities, and yeah, I think Greenwood will be an important sale. That's 100% profit. That's another £35 million you can spend up front in this window, and that will really help us. Obviously, with deals being spread out, you only have to pay a little bit up front. So that's how you can do 4 or 5 deals, maybe just with an initial outlay of £50-60 million. That's kind of how teams have been doing it for a long time. Everything Carpi, we should have got Rice for 100 million and Grealish, Rice and Caicedo, but United have a chance of Neves, the next superstar, and players are against it. No, I'm not against it. I think he's a brilliant player, and I think he's going to go on to do really special things. I just question where he fits into the team. I question whether he's going to give us what we need in midfield, and whether or not it's going to be worth the cost to risk factor of bringing a 19-year-old in for £80 million, because on a fundamental level, what we lack in midfield is genuine physicality. The physical flooring of the midfield just isn't there with Bruno. Mainoo, it's a little bit better, but not 100% there. There's no power in the air. There's no dual winner. There's no one there who's going to mop up everything and just break things up in the middle of the pitch and can drive forward with it. All those things maybe you get from an Onana. Maybe all those things you get from a Fofana or other players like that. I'm not 100% sure if João Neves has got that kind of capability just yet, because he's so young. He is still growing. And yeah, it's one of those, because as good as he is right now, he's only going to get better, so you probably don't get him for cheaper than what you would do right now. But my question is, will it be worth it? Or is it worth the risk? I'm not 100% sure at this moment in time. I'm really not. Sean Forsyth down there, question marks over Mainoo. Neves, from a physical perspective, could get bullied by physically dominant aerial teams. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that's my big concern with playing two 19-year-olds. as good as they are, is there a lack of experience there? Is there a lack of physicality? Maybe. Carpy says Rabiot on a free. You're talking Bath Times language. If Bath Times down there, he would be all for the Rabiot free transfer. Who have we got here? Sammy Mockbell as well from Daily Mail. Lazio have opened talks with Manchester United over a 30 million deal for Mason Greenwood. Talks are developing positively over the initial 30 million fee, which could rise even higher with performance-related add-ons. That could be a massive sale if we can get over 30 million for Greenwood. I was content to take 2025 because I just think that with Premier League clubs not being able to buy him, or will probably won't want to buy him with all the connotations surrounding him, that it makes a lot more sense for these other European clubs to go out there. And a lot of them don't spend big money. A lot don't have that kind of money to go out and splash. So certainly one to be watching for. This Zirkzee deal does seem to be coming... It does seem to be coming on and heating up really in the last couple of hours, in the last couple of days. Does look like that's the first choice for the striking signing. And yeah, I think it's a versatile player. It gives you a couple of different things. Carpy thinks the price is worth the risk. It's cheap compared to what he will be in a year or two. And Neves is worth the kind of gamble. If not, City will get him. I mean, City might get him. That could happen. Or, you could have a situation where he leaves and goes elsewhere and doesn't quite hit the ground running. And it's one of those ones because... translation to the Portuguese league to the Premier League can be pretty solid, but I don't think anyone would argue and say that Darwin Núñez, for instance, has justified his price from Benfica coming 2 or 3 seasons ago. That Victor Lindelof was worth the 35-40 million pounds that we spent for him maybe 6 or 7 years ago. So it's an interesting one as well. You got to weigh up the risk to reward. What kind of risk do we want to take? Because I think our budget won't be that big this year. I do think that we're going to have about £150 million net spend. I don't know if I can justify Neves being that there big signing. I think he's brilliant. I really do. And I think he could go somewhere else and do really well. But I don't know. I just don't think there's enough talk about it at the moment. Jarrad said, sounds like Olise is gone. United not prepared to trigger release clause. Chelsea are triggering it. Yeah, it's one of those... key days ahead in that deal, but I can't see it happening at this point. As much as I would like Olise, I think the reports coming out that Amad Diallo is set to be treated as a genuine first-team player who will start next season, I think that kind of ends that deal potentially with Olise. Look, I mean, I'm not against it if we want to give Amad a go, because I think that he's well worth a punt, and he absolutely should be a player that we try to get in and try to get playing more often, but I'm not too sure. Interesting story coming in here from a guy called Nick Samaro, seems to be an Italian journalist. He says United's first contact with Zirkzee's agent were positive. He is willing to give United a discount on the commission, no discount for AC Milan, with whom relationships are terrible. So obviously this guy's looking back into United's good books. Maybe he's got more clients, he wants to move on. Maybe it's worth a look at that there one. Potentially who they've got as clients, this particular agent, but I don't know. Anyways, we have 22 votes in today's poll so far. 64% want Zirkzee this summer, 23% say no, 14% say they're unsure. Carpy said, we're selling for Olise. He wants to move, but there was talk his release clause was only for Champions League team. Not sure how true that is. I'm not too sure. I think they'll try safeguard against that because... In Palace's own mind, you've got maybe 5 or 6 teams that can qualify for Champions League, so I doubt they'd be giving discount out to 2 of them. But yeah, look, I think Olise will go. It's just whereabouts he goes. I think that's going to be key. Does he go to Chelsea? From what we've seen online, it does seem to be that his preferred move is United, but it looks like we are not really getting there quick enough for him. We're not getting up there to get this deal done in a rapid fashion, unfortunately. But we're going to find out. I'm a big fan of the player. I would love the player at United, but it will be whatever it'll be. Guys, drop a like in the video. We're up to 12 likes now. Let's see if we can get up maybe to 15 if possible. Got 20 people in the stream. I'm going to have a little check for some of the other news that I wanted to talk to you guys about and bring up as well. Interestingly, have seen that Germany have beat Hungary 2-0. That puts them well up in their group as well. They're doing very, very good. Germany impressive again today. Made it look pretty simple. Maybe not as explosive a match as they had against Scotland on Friday night, but they'll take a 2-0 win every day of the week. And yeah, guys, get your thoughts in down below anyway. Let me know what you guys are thinking at the minute. Let me just quickly pull up some of the other stories I wanted to touch on. For anyone who is just joining in as well, Bruno Fernandes' potential new contract, that's being talked about with this kind of September aim after the transfer window. It's according to Manchester Evening News and the Daily Mail Sport as well. Aston Villa is now likely seen as the most likely destination for Jean-Clair Todibo. That looks like it's just not going to happen for us, and Todibo looks like there is a lot of technicalities within UEFA law that other teams have been able to exploit and we are not able to exploit. United are definitely keen to do business interested in the early parts of the window, according to Simon Stoney and Nazir Kinsella. United will improve their £35 million bid for Jarrad Branthwaite, which was rejected at the weekend, as well as intensifying talks for Joshua Zirkzee. So those look to be the first two that we're trying to get in. There was a report came out 2 or 3 days ago that United wanted 2 players brought in early doors to help them settle, and then they will start to work on other deals and explore other options after that point. So I would expect that it's probably a case that we're trying to see how much we get those deals done for, how much is paid up front, how much money we're going to spend in the initial parts of this summer transfer window that can kind of determine what happens later on down the line. But certainly Zirkzee, certainly Branthwaite look to be the 2 most obvious signings for us so far. And Rajat says we don't need him. I think we need more strikers, buddy. I think we need different options. And you know, to me, I do like him. Like I do like Zirkzee. I think he's got some qualities about him. He's a good facilitator of play and maybe links the forward line in a better way than what it is. Does that interfere with the other man on the thumbnail, Bruno Fernandes' game? Potentially. Do you potentially have 2 players occupying the same spaces? Maybe. Do you need runners into the box if Zirkzee's going to be dropping deep and trying to turn on the ball? Yes, absolutely. So he's a very different option out there. Maybe I keep likening him to Anthony Martial. I think if you think back to what Martial was during the COVID era, I think that's a similar type player. Maybe not as prolific, maybe not going to score as many goals. I think he got 10 goals for Bologna last season, so not a bad return for Bologna, who did finish Champions League last season for Serie A, but I think we'd expect more than 10 goals if we do go for Joshua Zirkzee in the upcoming window. Let me have a quick look at some of the rough numbers that we're talking about with Zirkzee. Terms of last season, it was 11 goals in Serie A, 1 goal in the Coppa Italia, so 12 goals in all competitions. Have I got down below? Abiba is saying, yes, Zirkzee, Todibo, Kerekes, Theo Hernandez. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be against selling a lot of those players. I don't know if we need 2 left backs at the minute, but I would definitely take some of them. Guys, drop a like on the video. We're up to 15 likes now. Big ups for that. And Rajat said, why not get Gingalo? Nacho plays Trigger, 60 million. I don't know, man. I think he's okay. I think I think he's too similar in a lot of ways to Lisandro Martinez. Maybe we want to get a more complementary profile in. And with Martinez essentially playing left centre back, you're going to bring Branthwaite in, who can play both left and right centre back. Very 2-footed player. So that's potential planning there by Manchester United, which is good because sometimes I feel like we don't plan well enough. You know what I mean? But it's one of those ones. You know, we just got to see where this road takes us. Transfers are always a very long thing. They're always a very drawn out thing. We probably will be bombarded with it, but I think the Euros might take away some of the spam anyway, and we'll just get more concrete information like we seem to have got in the last few days with Branthwaite, like we seem to have got in the last few days with Zirkzee, and I think that makes a difference to the reporting side of it. It makes a difference to it as fans, because look, last year we were sick to death. We talked about Mason Mount from the last day of the season until near the end of June. We talked about Andre Onana for the entire month of July, and we talked about Rasmus Højlund for the first 2 weeks of August as well. So all very frustrating stuff. Have a little interview from Kobbie Mainoo. We'll read some of the quotes out here as well. Some nice things by Mainoo as well. on playing for England, he says he's ready to play if it's whether off the bench or starting. Obviously, there's other great midfielders in the Premier League and abroad like Bellingham, but I'm trying to train hard and be ready when called upon. He talked about Eriksen and Rasmus Højlund. He said they're both great guys and great teammates. Rasmus is young like me, so I'm always around him. I'm trying to learn and pick up from Christian, and if I am to play on Thursday, I'll have to put that to the side and hopefully go for the win. And finally, I think he said something on Erik ten Hag that might be important as well. He says, I'm happy to be building with Erik. I'm happy he's staying. We've got 2 trophies and hopefully there's more to come. Peace of mind to know what manager we have when we return. I'm grateful for him. He put a lot of trust into me to play in the team and I cannot thank him enough. So nice from Kobbie Mainoo. Always thought he was a good lad as well. Like, he's just got a good head on his shoulders. But yeah, look, certainly some interesting stories coming out. I think the the story we got yesterday from Manchester Evening News and a lot of the outlets who will be closer to United, saying that Amad Diallo next season is going to be a first team player. He will be playing a lot more football. I think that's because we're expecting to miss out on Olise at Chelsea, and it's a shame because the last thing Chelsea need is another winger, another right winger. They've already got Palmer can play there. They've got Nkunku. They've got Noni Madueke. They've got Midrick. They've got Raheem Sterling. They've got so many wide players, Chelsea. So I personally don't understand it, but I get it. You know, I get it. I like Olise, but if we end up playing Amad and Amad becomes maybe first choice, because the door's wide open for him. Like, it really is. I don't think you get the level of quality, firstly, from Facundo Pellistri. Don't think you get the level of quality from Jadon Sancho, and he won't be there next season. And I think Anthony's one of the worst players we've seen play for Manchester United. Not that that's been objective about it. So if you are Amad Diallo, if the deal doesn't go through for Michael Olise, what an opportunity you have to go out there and cement yourself as the right winger. I got Nibis down there. Calafiori is a good option for left centre back. Not a bad shout. Not a bad shout at all. Definitely a lot of good shouts in those centre back areas, and I would expect 2. I think 2 is realistic. There was talk of Johnny Evans signing a new deal pretty recently. You would imagine one of Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof will stay. Probably Maguire in that case. So I would imagine 2 centre backs come in. So maybe you do get a Branthwaite and a Chalobah. Maybe you do bring in some other players as well. And Nubis is saying if Olise was smart, he would reject Chelsea. He claimed to be a United fan. He should wait. Yeah, I think he should wait. You know, I think he shouldn't be in any hurry to really leave Crystal Palace at the moment. You know, it's what the 19th of June. It's the 19th of June. So United's new season basically starts on the 1st of July. Whenever the 1st of July starts, last season is officially over. That means we can start spending money a lot more. You know, we've got a little bit of money to spend now. We're going to try to get this Branthwaite deal done before Everton go into financial difficulties. But definitely we will be making that move for Olise in July. So if he has the patience, if he can wait, I think United's a better spot for him. I think it's a smarter option as well. You know, it takes him to a club where he will be first choice, as opposed to going to Chelsea, where Cole Palmer likes to play on the right wing, where Madueke likes to play there. Nicholas Jackson comes onto that side. They've got, on the other side, Mikhailo Mudryk. They've got, of course, Raheem Sterling as well. So they've got so many wide players, Chelsea. You could probably put Nkunku in there as well. So many wide players at Chelsea. I would be really surprised if Olise plays every single match for them just because of how many players they have. You know, it's as simple as that. It's why I think Toshin Adarabioyo made a really poor move going to Chelsea over United and Newcastle United. You know, he probably got a lot of minutes for United. He probably starts for Newcastle. So, you know, that's another bad move there for me. But I think he went for the money. They're paying him 150,000 a week. Erfan says Kevin Danso. Danso was impressive for Austria against very impressive against France. Obviously was involved in the incident with Mbappe, but it is what it is. And Nibba said Everton are confident they can sell Onana. That's why we're playing hardball. United should give the ultimatum this week and move on to another target this week. Yeah, I think we've given the ultimatum. I think that's when we got reports 2 or 3 days ago saying United were considering pulling out and not doing it, and they would move on to different targets. Yeah, I think that was like, we're not really pulling out of here after one bid of 35 million. You know, that's testing the waters. That's trying to unsettle the player, and hopefully we'll get it done. I'm a big fan of Branthwaite. I think he's very good in the ball. I think he's very quick, very strong, and that's exactly what we need as centre back, in my opinion. But we will find out. We will find out. On today's poll, in terms of Zirkzee, that does look to be one that's really heating up. 75% say yes, they will take Joshua Zirkzee. 16% say no. 9% are saying yes. 9% are unsure. But the vast majority of you guys, almost 3/4, almost unanimous, really, because there's only 33 votes there, are saying, yeah, let's give us Zirkzee. And look, I think he gives you different options. Not 12 goals last season for Bologna. In how many matches was that? That was 12 and 37. It's not too bad. 7 assists as well. You know, he links play. He's maybe not the most prolific high goal scoring striker you'll ever see, but if he gets more goals out of everybody else, if he gets more goals out of Rashford or Garnacho or Amad Diallo or Bruno Fernandes, then that's going to help us out as well. And if that there helps to make our team better, I'm all for it. That's what I think is key in this window. And moving forward as well, make the team better. That's got to be the goal. And Nibis likes Diamond. I like Diamond as well. We'll find out on whether they're willing to sell. I think they'll be happier to sell Ignacio on a personal level. Irfan said, I'm from Mauritius. I have Canal Plus, and Euro is not live on Canal Plus in Africa. That's disappointing, buddy. I'm sure there's ways you could watch it online or something. Because they're on free TV over here as well, you know, it could be pretty simple. A big deal getting done there as well by Aston Villa for Ian Maatsen, £37 million. That's quite a big one. Good player. Was impressive for Dortmund. Haven't really seen too much of him in the European Championship so far for the Netherlands, but let's just find out. Big potential sale, guys. Mason Greenwood in talks with Lazio, £30 million starting price, and that could rise up with add-on. So maybe 35 million for Greenwood. Not a bad deal. And that could help our transfer budget this year as well. That could probably double it and give us a lot more money. Then maybe we can go out and make that Olise offer after all if we do that. But let's just find out on that there one. According to Pete Hall, United had made contact with Jonathan David's camp. I'm just not for this deal. I think when he went to Lille a couple of seasons ago, it was a really good opportunity for him, but he just never really kicked on. I don't think anybody would be jumping over themselves to try get it over the line. In terms of Jonathan David, I don't know. It's just not for me. Not for me. Maybe he signs and proves us wrong. Nibis, should we consider Sergio Ramos if he's trying to take a backup? Had a lot of minutes last season, good for the dressing room. I'm not too sure. I think we'll want to go longer term with it, and I think because we've signed Johnny Evans to a new deal, I would be surprised in that one. According to Daily Mirror, United are confident they will wrap up a deal very quickly for Jarrad Branthwaite, but only if Everton get realistic about the asking price. Yeah, that's pretty easy. United have agreed terms with Jarrad Branthwaite. That part's already done, so I would imagine that gets done pretty easily once Everton come down. And look, the closer it gets to the 31st of June, the easier that deal's going to get done because they need to sell. And Branthwaite's a lot easier to sell because he's not at the Euros. He can just turn up for a medical, whatever. That's very easy. Kitty's down there, been AWOL for a while. Glad to be back, loving the growth of the channel. Haven't been here at infancy. Yeah, big ups, Kitty. You're one of the OGs on the channel. Absolute OGs as well. What are we on? 2,200? It's not too bad. Obviously, look, it would be a lot higher if I had the time to really make like 3 live streams a day and a couple of videos and a few shorts. But unfortunately, we got to work. We got to get the money as well. It's one of those air ones, but it is what it is. I've got 16 likes on the video as well, guys. Let's see if we can get that up to 20, shall we? And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the sub button as well. Yeah, we're on 2,200 exactly. Lovely amount. Lovely round figure. Anyway, Irfan, do you have a football app to watch live? I would just put it in the television, buddy, just because obviously I'm in the UK and that it's very easy just to turn it on, and it's on Freeview there as well. So because it is on ITV and BBC, you probably get it online somewhere if you just Google it. I think Scotland's playing Switzerland later. Maybe not going to be the best match, but I'll probably watch it anyway. You guys know how it is. Look, I'll see what has Nuba said. Have you heard of PSG bidding 15 million for Ryan Cherky? What a bargain. They get him under 20. I wonder why we're not going for this kind of deal. Depends, man. Some of these deals are done a long time in advance, and I don't know. I think was there some kind of issue or something with Zirkzee? With Cherky at some point. I don't know. Apologies as well, guys. Like, my eyes are really itchy. I think it's hay fever or something, but we'll live. Anyways, look, we're up to 16, 17 likes. Guys, I'm going to drop off and leave the stream here. So thanks a lot for tuning in tonight. We'll be back on live later on. That's why tonight's a shorter stream. So check out the Man United agenda later on. I think about 10 o'clock UK time. So about 2.5 hours. So make sure to tune in for that there one, guys. We'll be live on this channel tomorrow as well. Usual time, 7 o'clock. Hope to catch some of you guys there. Thanks so much for watching. And I'll see everyone in the next one.